good shit. I miss Sniper. Sniper was a great player.
Don't get me fucking started. Hello everyone, welcome to another segment of Drunk StarCraft 2 History with ZombieGrub and Fear Dragon, and maybe Maynard later, who knows?
Hello!
If you can't tell, we did this all in one sitting. Yeah, so today I want to talk to you guys about goddamn Broodlord Infestor. Now, many of you might say, oh, that's a composition I know. I planned Legacy of the Void in 2020, and I see it. You know, I see Broodlords and I see Infestors. You don't fucking understand. Broodlord Infestor, there's a reason it's like a combo word. It's like Korean Terran, European Zerg, Serral Champion, I don't know. Like, it's a unique word, it's a phrase because it was the most bullshit thing in StarCraft 2's history, probably. Some people will argue, but probably.
Was it though, or were you just salty? Like, I don't know. I think if you'd given it time, maybe people would have come up with the answer to it.
You know what? That's what David Kim and the rest of the Balance team thought for like 6 months. And then they were like, fuck it. We're making Heart of the Swarm anyways. Let's not do anything about it.
That's true. You know, Swarm hosts were a really good answer.
Oh my god. I think I need another drink right now. Let's just go ahead and pour that one out.
No, the Swarm hosts were a really good answer to the free unit problem.
Oh my god. Here's the deal. Broodlord Infestor was a meta in
2012, yeah.
Yeah, because Heart of the Swarm came out in 2013. That changed the whole balance of everything. So Broodlord Infestor was what we were left with after Wings of Liberty was kind of being figured out. People were kind of getting good at StarCraft 2. People found out that Infestors were good. Now that's back when they had fungals that totally immobilized the army.
Money fungals right now. Money
Beautiful
fungals.
It was back when Infested Terrans got upgrades, which was, I mean, okay, they don't even exist anymore, so who cares? And they were just generally bullshit. That wasn't what really caused the Broodlord Infestor problem, though. That was just one part of it. There was a patch 1.4.3, and a release date, February 21st, 2012. The patch that changed StarCraft, basically. We are, to some people's opinions, still reeling from this patch. What they had to do, though, was give the Zerg players a way to have a macro mechanic. They made the Queen, they made injects, which was also, you know, macro mechanics being injects, mules, and chrono whatsoever. So the Queen became this thing that was mostly a support unit, right? It had transfuse, it had creep, it had inject, but it was just supposed to be something that was used occasionally for macro mechanics. Creep spread, you know, was just nothing for the first 2 years of StarCraft, really. What happened was basically Zerg was starting to get a little underpowered. There were some complaints, especially when it came to early game bullshit, because Terran was actually quite good in the early game. 4-Gate was very good for Protoss in the early stages. By 2012, we had a variety of builds, but still, they wanted to buff something. So they were like the Queen, right? The Queen is something you have to get. It's minerals only. It attacks ground and air. Let's buff that sucker. And they buffed it to make its anti-ground weapon attack range increase from 3 to 5. They used to use their claws. Remember that? They didn't shoot their spines. They used their claws a lot more since it was more melee focused.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have like little like fucking like Kerrigan.
The back spine thing.
Exactly, yes. And anyways, they buffed their range by 2. And that doesn't seem like a big deal. Except that it gave all this purpose to Zergs. You know, they eventually found this out. It wasn't super duper quick, but they eventually found it out. The Zergs were like, well, we just won't die. We just won't die to early game aggression. We won't die to early game pushes, and we can get to the Infestors that are becoming a lot more viable as people figure out their spells are very, very good, and people learn to control shit. And we can also get to Broodlords, which are free units, which didn't really exist in StarCraft. Until that point. Yeah, this was like kind of a new concept, but they really wanted to go and like hone in on the idea that Zerg is swarmy. They made these free units, and people, oh my god, there was actually such bullshit excuses. Oh my god, I can't even. The bullshit excuses that came out of the Zerg, by the way, like people would defend free units because, oh, how is it different from, you know, a tank shooting? And I'm like, how do you not see the difference? You have to kill one thing before you kill the other thing. How is that not obvious? But I digress. These suckers were also double upgraded with, you know, missile and melee attacks, and, you know, they kited over these maps, and maps were also still kind of forming to be good at that time. I mean, they survived to get to that point. They would get to that point, and the Terran and Protoss players would go, I don't know what the fuck to do. What do I do? And people would also look to the stats. They'd be like, well, PvZ is 50-50, so it's perfectly balanced. And then ignore the fucking, like, Broodlord Infestor versus Vortex bullshit. Or no, 2-base Immortal Sentry, that's what it was.
Archon toilet!
So, what happened in ZVP especially was that Zergs would either get to Broodlord Infestor and maybe die to the Archon toilet, which some of you might have no idea what I'm talking about, and some of you will. We lead out of that, or they don't get to Broodlord Infestor because 2-base Immortal Sentry all-in was also the biggest bullshit.
Wasn't that how Parting won BlizzCon 2012? Because there was the famous interview where he was like, I have more soul in my Immortal Sentry all-in than more people.
Parting has proved that he's a good player, right? Like, he's come through multiple metas at this point. But yeah, that was called the Soul Train. That was 2-base Immortal Sentry all-in. It was just powerful, okay? And it had to do with a lot of things.
Slow this down.
The Parting Express is on the move, and it has been scouted. Wolf, I certainly hope that you have your ticket for the Parting Express, because the Soul Train is about to leave the station.
I feel like he's just gonna do the Immortal push again, like you said, until it fails now.
You either had that win the game for Protoss, or you had Broodlord Infestor come out and win it for Zerg, and it was just the stupidest design. And that's like one of the things that people point to when they're like, it's not a balance thing, it's a design thing. The balance would be fine, but I don't enjoy what I'm watching. Totally valid thing to say, even as people sometimes overuse it. So Broodlord Infestor has actually been pointed to as reasons why people have left StarCraft 2. Now this is also something that has been kind of like, it's, you know, it's a whole little fucking web of shit, because League of Legends was getting more popular, esports was becoming kind of more of a thing, so you had more games do things that would help their esports side, and StarCraft 2 was very much so stuck in the past, and that it all kind of came together. But many people say that Broodlord Infestor was what would stop them from playing. I mean, anytime you've ever heard someone nowadays, okay, in June 2020, that they don't play because the game is broken. Fuck those guys. They have no idea what Broodlord Infestor was like, or Stormhost was like either.
Whoa, are you saying that watching Sniper versus Hyun, Broodlord versus Broodlord finals wasn't extremely motivating for you to play StarCraft, where you literally just saw free units attacking each other for 30 minutes?
I seriously have this theory, all right? And I think it's a fair theory. So I can say it's a conspiracy theory. That people have always asked, why is Europe so good with Zergs? And I actually go back to this stage because we also had WCS in every region. Europe have multiple regions. You know, it absolutely helped grow the scene in Europe, so I'm not, you know, knocking the system at all, but it also lined up with Broodlord Infestor. So for me, I feel like there's something there where, like, Broodlord Infestor made a lot of people look kind of good at StarCraft when maybe they weren't the best at StarCraft, and also you had a lot of support for the mid-tier players that, you know, eventually became our best players, right? So that's my theory, but regardless, Broodlord Infestor was absolutely bullshit. It turned a lot of people off from StarCraft. Zerg players, I fucking remember this so much, right? Like, I swear to God, Broodlord Infestor happened, and every Zerg player was like, look, this one game happened where it wasn't that bullshit. Like, look at that. Look at it. Look, it's fine. It's fine. And you're like, oh my God, I can't convince these Zerg players that it's bullshit. And then Heart of the Swarm comes, and I swear to God, the Zerg players were like, you'd ask them in Heart of the Swarm beta, like, yeah, wasn't Broodlord Infestor kind of like bullshit? And they'd be like, yeah, it kind of was. Like, it was an immediate fucking switch of like, no, it's not that bad, to, yeah, okay, that was kind of a good era for us. Well, anyways, that's the era of Broodlord Infestor. To sum up, it was not fun to play against. It was very boring to play, I should add that. It caused a lot of the matchups to be on one push, win, or fail, which no one likes in any matchup at any given time. It was somewhat of at our height at StarCraft 2 as well. Not only was StarCraft 2 still the main esport, it was also Pro League was coming over from Brood War, so you had a lot of the StarCraft 2 games be Broodlord Infestor, and obviously not very fun to watch compared to the Brood War games, which had 12 years, 13 years, 14, something like that, of you know, perfection. So, you know, you had this hybrid stupid Pro League thing, and it was just like, you know, mwah, perfection of the Brood War, and then you go right to Broodlord Infestor, and it was absolute bullshit, and everyone's like, StarCraft 2 sucks, and it's like, well, I see your point. It's not comparable. It was a pretty integral part of our history, and luckily it's 7 years in the past at this point, but it honestly was not a good time, and many people will say that it started with the Queen patch to put their range from 3 to 5. And that is the story of Broodlord Infestor.
Today. Yeah, guys, it's first day we've had, what, we're in like game number 9 now, and no Broodlord Infestor. How about that?
Kind of crazy. Yeah.